Okay, hello, I'm kchoi. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here with my friend Christine.
Hello.
Okay, so we are in New Haven, Connecticut right now for our friend's wedding, and I thought that we would sit down and do a get ready with me. If you've been subscribed to my channel, you know that I post a lot of videos about career and education based on my own experiences. And I thought it would be really fun to bring Christine on because she just graduated from law school. So I thought we could talk about that, and I think it would be really helpful for anyone who wants to know more about, you know, going into law school and all of that, and you could share your experiences. Yeah?
Yeah, I would love to.
Yay! So we're in this like janky little
It's quite unique.
Yeah, it's just literally like this is the room. There's just a little bit more space next to us, but this is our humble abode for the night. Anyway, just to start, how are you?
I'm good. I just did a red-eye from San Francisco.
Oh my gosh.
But I feel refreshed. I took a little bit of a break, so I'm okay.
Okay. I feel like when we were in college, you were pre-law then too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you always knew that you wanted to go to law school?
Kind of. So in undergrad, I was a rhetoric and legal studies major, and so I was always interested in the legal system, but more so from a research perspective. So I was highly considering doing a PhD. I was doing studying about prisons for a while, and then I was also doing death penalty work in undergrad, and so I had a lot of interest about criminal law initially to begin with, and that's how I started into the legal field. And then after I graduated, I got a job at a law firm, and it wasn't a job I was particularly aiming for, but that's just the job that I happened to get and started out with, and that I happened to really like. And after I worked there for a year and a half, I went into a company and was in the legal department there, and I really liked it, and that's how I decided to do law school. Otherwise, I would have really considered doing a PhD program instead. Yeah.
Okay, like what type of law was it in that first job you had, like at the firm?
Oh, okay, so I was doing, okay, they say complex litigation, but it just means like litigation that can be complex for a lot of different reasons. Either it involves like a really large sum of money, like hundreds of millions of dollars, or it involves a lot of plaintiffs. The first case I worked on had like 500 plaintiffs or something, so it was huge.
Wow.
And it was really big, and yeah, it was about mortgages and real estate. Very exciting, very different from criminal law, but still really exciting, and surprisingly really liked it.
Let's go like high level. Can you tell me more about just like the different types of law in general?
Yeah.
I know there's like corporate law, and then I guess litigation, and then public defense. Like I don't know. But what are like the different options out there?
Yeah. So, well, when you go to law school, the big distinction that they make is transactional versus litigation. So litigation involves all the more traditional, what most people would expect of law students in the legal field: going to court, writing motions, settlements. If you like public speaking, that's definitely, I mean, you do need to do public speaking in transactional too. And then transactional is more of the often businessy side, public finance, regulatory transactional work too. So more logistical, getting things through. And surprisingly, I think there are a lot of people that would be really great at transactional, but because most people don't know about it, a lot of the students that end up coming might first be interested in litigation, but transactional work can be really good. And then field-wise, if there's anything you're interested in, there's law regarding it, like 99% of the time. Or if it's like a really new field, there will be law about it, like cryptocurrency. That will definitely be regulated or have some regulations too. I'm very sure. But yeah, finance, intellectual property is really big. I went to Berkeley, and IP law there is really good. International relations, international law, criminal law, anything that you can name, there's probably something regarding law that you can do.
So then the second job you said was the law department, like within the company. So what was that one?
Okay, so the company was, a lot of my peers aren't familiar with the company. The company's called Restoration Hardware.
Oh yeah.
Do you know it?
Yeah.
I love Restoration Hardware. I think they have beautiful decor and like design aesthetics, but
they're really nice stores.
Yeah.
Like Anyway.
Their flagship store is in Chicago. There's a beautiful one with a cafe inside, and they also have a location in Yountville near Napa that's really nice. But they had a legal department, and I worked with their legal team on real estate, and almost every company has an employment attorney. They were doing a lot of cool things, and I met some really, really good mentors there, and they were so smart and really capable, and I learned a lot from them. So I'm really thankful for being able to go into a company and see how the legal department is interacting with everyone there. It was interesting going to law school and seeing the people that went straight through, and that's definitely an option. I will say there's, I guess it depends on the person and what they think, but I think it's a pretty big decision deciding if you want to go straight through or if you want to have experience before, because essentially if you go straight through, the first time you will be working and be having full-time work experience will be after you have your degree, and a lot of the responsibilities you'll have as a practicing attorney are so important. For me, I would highly encourage everyone to consider taking at least a year, like take like 1 year before law school. Even if you get into places, maybe consider deferring so that you have work experience. I don't know, don't you feel like you learned a lot? Like things that you learned on the job that you couldn't have done right after undergrad?
Yes, definitely. I mean, so my path is a little different because like I majored in English, and then I worked in public relations, and then I went back to school for management or business, and then switched careers. So it's like a little different. I kind of did have to get that work experience, like in my opinion, for my journey, I guess. But I've never thought about that with law, because most people, I don't know, like the typical like path you might see is just like going straight from undergrad and then go to law school and then become an attorney. Is there like a percentage you would say like in your class, like who are like people who had work experience and then people who came?
Ooh, I know they have. Yeah, I know they have statistics about it. I don't know it off the top of my head. I will say that the people that went straight through, because they didn't take a break from the academic student life, could kind of hit the ground running in ways that I think people who hadn't been in school for a while had to adjust to.
To catch up again.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. Percentage-wise, I don't know, half my friends took time off, half of them didn't. Okay. And they're all doing
like within your group.
Yeah, it's not like there's necessarily anything different, but I think it's like a very important personal decision to think about. So
I, like when I was, what, like 17, like high school.
I know, you were thinking about
law school, yeah. Like when I was in, like when I was a senior in high school, and like when I was starting college, that was like one possible option, right? Because I was an English major, so that's, you know.
Also, we all thought Christina was gonna be 100% in law school.
Really?
Yeah, I 100% thought you were, because Christina is so organized, very eloquent, is reading all the time, and you're really good at public speaking.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I always thought you'd for sure.
Am I missing like a...
No, but the thing is, okay, there's a lot of, okay, keep going.
No. So like the thing that I've heard so much, and I feel like a lot of lawyers will tell people, is like, don't go to law school.
Yeah. Yes,
like,
yeah.
I mean, they'll say like you really need to want to go to make it worth it. So can you like speak to that a little bit?
You know, I'm actually one of those people. I'm one of those people that I say seriously consider any other job you would consider, and think about it. Think very deeply and seriously about considering other paths before you commit to the legal route. I think the sense that I felt when I was thinking about whether I should apply was I felt like I'd be missing out if I didn't. Like, it was just something that seemed really cool, and that had a lot of potential to help make change. That's one big reason why people go to law school, because they see something that is not right and they want to be involved in justice and all these other very like philosophical big ideas that they want to pursue. But you can pursue those with a lot of times without a legal degree, so seriously consider whether you want to do it. And a lot of times, if you look at the traditional legal jobs, ultimately a lot of the legal jobs, you are executing someone else's vision, you are helping someone else, and that is really fulfilling for a lot of people. But if you are someone who wants to be a leader to change things, or you want to be the person setting the agenda and you want to be the person directing the attorneys to tell them what to do, you don't necessarily need a legal degree to do that. And those are just some things I would think about too.
That's why that's actually interesting, because then your point about like getting some work experience first, like I feel like that really is important then to like help you consider and decide if you want to go to law school. Because even what you were saying of like you kind of went into undergrad thinking one thing of like, this is what I want to pursue, and then you got some work experience and that kind of changed your perspective of like what you wanted to do, right?
These are the other things that people that are a little too discouraging, I think, will bring up. But yes, there are students that will try a semester and decide not to come back, which can be very wise to drop out before you further commit. Because even one semester can be, you know, very expensive. Seriously think about it, and once you decide, don't let anyone dissuade you. There will be people till the very end.
Really?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in the legal field are people who do well in law school, or like the legal field, or just the field itself attracts people who aren't the most optimistic people. And that can help you be a good lawyer, because being pessimistic and preparing for worst case scenarios is good.
I guess like people in law school or who went to law school tend to be more pessimistic to begin with, so then that's why they might discourage people more, like if they're considering it.
That's a very good summary.
Christine and I both went to Cal for undergrad, and then you also went to Berkeley for law school.
Yes.
Too. So what was that your first choice? Or like what was that? No?
You know, I grew up in the Bay Area, and Berkeley is an East Bay, so it is in Bay Area, and I went there for undergrad, and so I was just so convinced that I needed to get out. But I love Berkeley. Like, I can't help it. I really, really love it. And I do think it's one of they try very hard to be the happiest and healthiest place it can be. And I
like the law school specifically?
I do think, yeah. And it's not only that, but I think the people that decide to come to Berkeley tend to also be pretty mature. I think law schools can be very power hungry places. No, okay, not to scare anyone. Law school can be a very stressful place with very proud, prideful people. And I think Berkeley attracts very humble people who are just as accomplished, and if not more accomplished than people at a lot of other schools, but they're very humble. And I can't think of a single person I went to school with that didn't come in order to help other people. So I think the population is very mature, and it's just a good school to be at.
What was the process like applying to law school? So like LSAT, and like what goes into the application? Is it just like your typical, like you have personal statements and like letters of recommendation? Is there anything that's like kind of different about a law school application?
Yeah, law school and the legal field, there is an emphasis on numbers, and so they do look very heavily at GPA and LSAT. It's not the ultimate decisive deciding factors, but they are important. So, but you know, you try your best, you get the score that you get, and then you write the best possible personal statement you can. And so don't over worry about it, just do your best. Be aware of the scores that are the averages at the schools. But even if you don't meet it, a really, really strong personal statement and a good application package holistically can get you in places that you'd be surprised. So don't not apply places because you feel that you don't have a chance.
You're so encouraging.
Yeah,
I love it.
Go for it.
Is it like the first year of law school is the most difficult?
Oh, how did you know?
Like, I don't know. Just like seeing things that people post of like 1L and like 2L and whatever. So like, can you what are like the typical like characteristics of the 3 years of law school?
Okay, yes, this is a very true and accurate statement. The reason why 1L is stressful is because of the job application cycle. So it's just because it's important for employment. That's the biggest reason why there's a lot of emphasis on 1L, and it's because you do the recruiting for your second summer job at the end of your 1L summer. So by the time you're applying for your 2L job, the only grades that you have are from 1L, and that second summer employment is really important because a lot of people get their full-time offers at the end of that summer internship. Traditionally, that's not how it is for everyone, but that is what most people do if they're trying to get big law jobs.
So 1L stressful because it's like a lot of pressure for stuff that like will determine things in your future, like for your job.
Yeah, I mentioned stats are important for law school applications. They are also important for job applications because they do look at your grades, and that also shouldn't be completely decisive. So don't worry too much if your grades aren't the best, but you just do your best and then you give it what you can. Oh, the other thing that makes 1L stressful is that all law schools are graded on a very strict curve. They won't even let one person on the line through to bump them up a grade. Yes, if you've never experienced being at the bottom half of a bell curve, law school might be the first time.
And then what about like the other 2 years? Is it just like a little bit more smooth sailing, or?
Yeah, no, the other 2 years, I mean, I had a really, really good time in law school, so I had a great time, 2L and 3L. 2L, most likely, you'll be really busy with student organizations, and so it isn't any less busy than 1L, it's just a different kind of stress. And then 3L, more student organizations, or just time to reconnect with family and friends and have a little bit more personal time, or to really delve into clerkship applications or research with professors and maybe some non-organization activities that you didn't get a chance to do in 2L.
I have no idea like what classes you even take in law school.
Yeah, no, there's so many different types.
No idea. Obviously, like you don't need to say all the different classes you took, but just like, do people like have a focus as they like progress through the years, as you like decide what type of law you want to go into? Like,
so they do have a certain number of required classes, and so you don't get to completely 100% decide, but Berkeley has a certification program. So if you want to get a certificate in international law or intellectual property law, or what else do they have? I think they have like an environmental law one, business. You can find schools where there are specializations. Otherwise, you just get a JD like everyone else, and then you will learn on the job, because law school will most of the time not teach you practical law to practice. They only teach you mostly methods of thinking and strategies and ways of approaching your thought processes for different projects or cases. I did a lot of fun classes.
What was the most fun class you took?
Oh man, okay, so I'm doing data privacy, so my data privacy class was the most fun. But the other really fun ones were negotiations. So they'll have like practical, like more active classes where you're doing activities. Those are usually less units, but those are really fun because you're not really sitting in a lecture. You're getting up and doing things.
This is all stuff I just have never thought about, because I very briefly considered law school and then was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that because I don't think that's like something I'm passionate about right now.
Wait, I'm so curious. Okay. So Christina decided not to do law school. Can we hear why you decided not to?
It's not anything too complex, but it has to do partly with like talking with some people, some lawyers or people who have been to law school, and that advice of like, you have to like really think about it and like why you would want to go, and just, you know, them saying how hard it is too. My like brief moment of like, oh, should I go to law school was never like, oh, because I want to like go into law and make a difference in some of the stuff that you were saying. It was just kind of like, oh, people always said like I could go to law school, or like I don't really know what else I might do. So that's why I kind of just shifted away from that. But yeah, so I think it was the right choice, I guess, because I'm happy with like what I'm doing now. Who knows, like if I did go, like maybe I could have found some other type of passion, right? It's fun now just learning about it from you. Yeah. So you are going into data privacy,
yeah,
is that now? Because you graduated, right?
Mm-hmm.
This past spring.
Yeah.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
So then did you start your job now?
No,
okay.
So I took the bar in July.
Okay, yes.
And after the bar, they usually give students about a month or 2 months, or even like 3 months, maybe 4 months, but that's a little less regular, to take a break, and that's when everyone goes on their bar trip and they just have a good time and relax before they start work. How was the bar? You know how I said 1L was bad? Bar studying is worse. And I didn't think that was possible. It was one of the most unique experiences of my life. It's not even, I can't compare it to any other kind of test. You do 12.5 hours of testing over 2 days, and that's just the testing portion, and so you have time before and after where you're just waiting for them to like color papers, and
then there's like breaks in between and stuff. Oh my gosh, 12.5 hours.
12.5 hours, and the first day is 6 essays, and the second day is 200 multiple choice, and I've never done 200 multiple choice in my life.
Wow.
I think you just show up and you do it, and you just can't think too much about it beyond that, because you have to save your brain cells for those questions.
How long did you study for the bar for? Like how many months?
Most people study.
I do my hair, but I don't know where to plug it in. Oh,
I did it there.
Okay, I'll do it there later. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Most people study as soon as they graduate, so we graduated mid-May, and the exam was at the very end of July, so about 2.5 months.
That's it? Oh my gosh. Are you done getting ready now?
Yeah, are you?
Me too. I just need to do my hair, but that's like off to the side, out of the frame. Let's close with like any advice you would have for people who are, maybe they're either like starting undergrad and they want to go on a path to law school, or they're like considering applying to law school now. Like what advice would you, advice you would give? Yeah, I think the best advice is what Christina did, which is talk to mentors, talk to people who know you, and really seriously self-reflect. And once you decide, don't regret it, don't look back. You can always decide to do law school later. Even if it seems not the norm, you can. There were a ton of people in law school who had done their PhDs or other degrees or had been working for 10, 20 years, and they came and they're still doing the legal field. So think outside the box, listen to advice, take everything with a grain of salt, but just reflect and think. So I guess that means I can go to law school still, according to that advice. Yeah. I probably won't, but this was really fun, like it's like helpful for me too, just because like I don't know about law school, but now I know a little bit more, and I hope it's really helpful for anyone watching this who is considering going into the legal field. So yeah. Good luck, everyone. Yay. Thanks, Christine. Yeah, no problem. Now we're gonna go have fun at our friend's wedding, so I'm excited, and we'll like catch up with some of our other college friends. We'll be there. So thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye. Hey, we did it. You're so good. Yeah, that's so fun. You did so good.